thatmovieguyUK.
As we know, 2019, not been a good year for cinema. It's been okay. But one of my most anticipated, Uncut Gems by Josh and Bentley Safdie, actually got a secret screening at London Film Festival, and boy howdy, I was very happy to see this. I had seen quite a few films before I went to the festival, so I was a bit like, there's nothing really new here for me. But I got Uncut Gems, and boy, I was happier than a pig in a vat of mud. Happy. Obviously, with their film Good Time, that is probably their most popular film, starring Robert Pattinson in 2017. One of my favourite films of 2017, probably one of my favourite movies of the decade. But along with this, they have made two other interesting films. You have Heaven Knows What and Daddy Longlegs, and I would implore anybody to watch them before they join any kind of discourse of Uncut Gems. This has been a film 10 years in the making. They tried to make it before they wanted to make Good Time. It didn't happen because nobody really knew who they were. Adam Sandler actually rejected the screenplay the first time, but because of the success of Good Time, they got the monies, they got the Sandman, and we are here to talk about it. I'm not actually going to divulge the plot too much. All you need to know is that it follows the story of Howard Ratner. He is a fascinating New York jeweler who is based in the Diamond District, and he is trying to do the biggest deal of his life. In the mix of this, his wife hates him, his mistress has a very toxic relationship with him at times, and he builds and builds more and more gambling debt through mainly basketball and borrowing money from other jewelers. So yeah, that's all you need to know. This is a massive pressure cooker of a character study that only the Safdie brothers could imagine and could only helm masterfully. It is very loud, it's very grotty, it is possibly the most tense cinematic experience I have had in quite some time. By the Lodge, review to follow. And I just adored it. I can easily tell you this now, that Uncut Gems is my favourite film of 2019, and I've still got 2.5 months to go, kind of. But I genuinely cannot see any other film topping me, and yeah, 2019's over, so we might as well just finish this review. Throughout the film, it just continuously boils. You are hearing 1,000 conversations at a time. It's loud. It feels, the conversations going through this film feels like you're going through the streets of New York when you hear the hustle and bustle of life going through there. And that is the joy of the Safdies. They portray New York City in a unique way that only Martin Scorsese, I believe, has done in cinema in the whole history of this art form. And they're just taking you on this like very interesting journey that you don't really know much about, things like about the Diamond District. And that is why it just continuously fascinated me. But some people kind of lose it because of the arguments, because of the multiple people talking in the room. Like when you have the room when you have shots like inside Ratner's store, there's about 5 people talking at the same time, and it's just like, who the hell is talking? But I just enjoy that. I don't know why. It was just, I don't know if it's because I was so settled being in London while I was there. I was just used to the hustle and bustle, and I was just like, this is just like being on the freaking tube or in the pub. Just fucking used to it now, aren't you? It's just, that's how it was, and I just enjoy this element of it. The Diamond District is a very interesting way to portray and to display the Safdies' faith in Judaism, and it just shows their Jewishness in a way that I really found intriguing. There is a scene at the Seder table where Sandler is doing the segment with the blood, with the wine, and his mother is doing it with him, and she's doing her bit in Hebrew and he's doing it in English. And I think it's just like this interesting point of just showing how the dynamics of faith and religion are changing within Judaism and how people are evolving. And I think just this interesting way of generations just changing their observations on things. The Safdies do actually use a lot of long angle lenses, so you don't actually know if you're an actor in these films whether or not there's a close-up shot actually happening. And I think that's the best way to get reactions from them. And with the Safdies throughout the film, there is a continuous flow to the camera. There's no real staticness to it. And their sharp editing really also just muddles with your brain at times, because this actual uncut gem that we have in this film is a really interesting way to open the film visually. And just the way that the fascination of the gem is continuously whirlwinding around the whole project is just, it's very intriguing. And I think the colorization of it also, like when it comes to Sandler, he's got these really shit glasses, earring, mustard jumper, leather jacket. It just gives that sleazy kind of perspective that you want from the film. And I think the whole aesthetic of it, I think just the way that some people are dressed, it's very, and obviously no offense to nobody from New Jersey, but like there's like a Sopranos-y kind of feel to it, but in a Jewish way. And I kind of like that. I thought it was just, the whole aesthetic of it just gives you this very unique perspective. And I literally cannot stop smiling about this movie, even though I shouldn't be smiling. I was tense as hell through the whole movie. Once you go to the third act, which I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the third act is continuously pulsating like a fucking heartbeat that is almost about to erupt. It is just non-stop, and you do not know what is going to happen next. There is just so much brutality in this, even between the words, between the shooting of it, just the way that it parallels itself from one segment to the other. My God, it takes like time for you to even like get out of your seat at the end of the film, because it's just a non-stop train to nowhere. It is freaking crazy. What stitches this whole film together though is Daniel Lopatin's score. The score is just as loud as the conversations. The Safdies just crank it up. I think this is in Atmos, I believe, and it just gives you this like disorientating experience. But without Lopatin's score, I don't think Uncut Gems at times would have the same impact, but the music is just continuously beating. I think there's like one segment at a time where there's like 20 minutes of full-time score, which I freaking dig. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. Obviously now we need to talk about the Sandman, Adam fucking Sandler. Meyerowitz Story, his performance of that, I respected. It was a very good dramatic performance, but not since Punch Drunk Love have I been floored by this guy. Obviously, growing up, Sandler movies were a massive part of my life, but I can forgive him for movies like Jack and Jill now. He's everything in this film, and I think he just embodied this character in a way that I don't think, and no offense to Jonah Hill, I just don't see him in this role. There is not much of the Sandler in it, but you feel him as Howard Ratner. You can feel these pressures that have gone into this performance. And at times, I don't know if this is to do with like his personal experiences with it. I don't know. I don't really know much about his life in obviously a personal way, but there's just this weird connection that he has with it, and it just goes on and on and on. Also, you get the old classics with the non-actors in the film, like the guys within the Diamond District, just very funny characters. There's like twin brothers that just kept me laughing throughout. And then obviously to the cast, you have people like Idina Menzel, Julia Fox. They provide a lot of great humor as the wife and the mistress. They obviously show you at times how much they hate them. Idina Menzel says once in the film, like, you are probably the most annoying person in the world. And this is a guy who's trying to rectify his marriage, and I was just in tears. It is so freaking funny at times with this supporting cast. Kevin Garnett, who is an NBA player that I don't really know much about until obviously this film. I'm not a big NBA fan, but not since Michael Jordan in Space Jam, I would say I've enjoyed an NBA player. He was actually really good. His fascination with this gem and just his whole performance as a whole was just really, it was just interesting. The only other prominent casting that I really liked as much as Sandler was Lakeith Stanfield. I think he always picks very interesting projects, but as a guy who brings like these famous people to his store and selling watches and shit like that, he just there was just a lot to him. It was just like very like James Franco in Spring Breakers, but a bit toned down. And yeah, and then I think that the conversations between Stanfield and Sandler are like some of the funniest within the film. And obviously this film does require comic relief because the tension in it is so high. Without a bit of humour, you just, I think you would just have to go see a therapist straight away after watching it. But there we are. Uncut Gems was a pure joy, and I am so happy that I got to see it as early as I have. It is not out in the UK until January on Netflix, but it is getting a cinematic release, and I highly implore you to go and see it in the cinema because it is the best way to watch it. If you can, obviously, Netflix is understandable, but please put your phone in another room. Just put the lights off, put it as loud as you can, and freaking enjoy the ride. So the rest of my London Film Festival reviews will be coming out slowly over the next week or so. There's going to be reviews for films like The Lodge, The Irishman, Terrence Malick's The Hidden Life, Beanpole, First Love. I've seen so many good movies, and if you go on my letterbox, you can see all my little early reactions, and you'll see my compiled favourites list of this festival. And yeah, it's actually been a lot better than I anticipated. I actually got to see a lot more independent movies, a lot more smaller films. I actually stayed away from the big tickets like Le Mans 66, Knives Out, because there's no freaking point. Like, everybody else is going to review it. I'd rather review the movies that I would normally go for. So yeah, hit that subscribe button if you would like to follow me, dislike, whatever. If you've seen Uncut Gems already and you hate this movie, feel free to vent in the comment section, because I will defend this movie to the ends of the earth. And obviously, as we say on this channel, Dio thanko, obrigado, merci beaucoup, arigato, bitchin', all the shit. And obviously, never change, unless you hate Uncut Gems. Bye.